Boris Johnson wants Britain to get on their bikes and ride. The Prime Minister has pledged £2 billion to increase cycling and walking, with the creation of thousands of miles of new protected bike lanes to come alongside cycle training for adults and children up and down the UK. Duncan Dollimore from Cycling UK welcomes the move by Mr Johnson and believes cycling will actually benefit the economy.
We would say this is fantastic because it's great for people's health, it's great for public health, it's better for the environment, it helps improve air quality, it reduces carbon emissions, and it's better for business in the high street. We've got shops that are going to the wall in the high street because people aren't getting out of cars in town centres, so it's fantastically beneficial to get people walking and cycling and spending more money in town centres. And all the evidence says is that when you actually get people walking and cycling into town centres, they spend more, footfall goes up, and businesses benefit. So it would have been hugely important 4 months ago, but it's even more important in the context of what we've had over the last 4 months with COVID, because we've seen that when people have looked at the roads and thought that they seemed quieter, we've had a massive increase in the number of people cycling. But that's because people have thought it looked and felt safe. And there's a risk that that will evaporate as the roads get busier again. The reality is the health benefits of cycling, all the statistics show, outweigh any risks by a factor of around 20 to 1. That's in terms of the health benefits, in terms of weight, mental well-being, reduced risk of various cancers, reduced risk of various breathing or lung-related issues, reduced risk of diabetes. And so the massive health benefits of it, of that sort of activity, can't be overstated. So in fact, it's more risky not to factor in that active travel into your daily lives. The reality is I would have said that to you if you'd interviewed me in February, but it's even more acute now post-COVID because there's all the evidence that's come out that effectively those people who are overweight are more likely to have difficulties if they contract coronavirus. The symptoms are likely to be more severe. And it does look as though there's been a bit of an epiphanal moment that the Prime Minister's had when he's reflected on his own health.
Despite the £2 billion worth of funding, Duncan believes the cost of building the infrastructure is the elephant in the room from these proposals.
We were delighted with much of what the Prime Minister announced yesterday, but there was a bit of an elephant in the room, which was how it was all going to get paid for, because the infrastructure costs money. That's where people start to actually quibble sometimes, but actually what you need to look at is the benefits rather than just the cost. The Department for Transport's own figures show that cycling and walking are the most effective form of transport investment. Their own stats from their treasury people say that for every £1 spent, you get £13 of benefits in terms of savings to the NHS, boost to the high street sales, benefits to public health, reduction in congestion. I could go on, but it's the most effective spend. But at the moment, we're only spending 2% of our transport budget on active travel. And if the Prime Minister wants this golden age of cycling in more than just a few big cities, and to take it out to towns across the country, then there needs to be a big ramp up in the amount that's invested.
As well as bike lanes and training, cyclists can apply for a £50 cycling repair voucher to get their bikes back up to being roadworthy. Duncan says more needs to be done though with these vouchers to target those who really need it.
There are 16 million bikes lounging around garages across the UK, it's estimated. We have a scheme at Cycling UK called the Big Bike Revival, where we help with some of those really simple things to try and just get people whose bikes need a bit of love and attention to get them back on the road, which is a very, very light version of the voucher scheme. I think there might be some questions that need to be asked about how that scheme is targeted to really benefit those that need it. And that's something that's being looked at in Scotland. They're looking at a different type of scheme, which is perhaps a little bit more targeted to who needs that assistance. So I think that might have to be something that's looked at and see how it rolls out. The reality is, however, that for some people, it's a small bit of a nudge that helps them get on a bike for the first time for many years.